Hello and welcome to a very different video stream setup for my YouTube channel. I'm trying to branch out a little bit to do different things, and we are going to do sort through the keyhole, through the webcam, and meet the streamer. And today the willing victim is StephenKill. Hello, Stephen. Do you want to give us
hello?
Welcome.
Willing victim here. Hello.
To try this all out, we have got huge amounts of kit going on, so we'll have to see how this works. So, Steve, how did you get? Do you mind Steve or first Stephen?
Stephen is fine. Yeah, Stephen's fine.
Stephen's fine. So, how did you actually get into streaming in the first place?
Spending too many hours watching other Twitch streamers mostly. A few friends of mine from Twitter were streamers. So people I'd known on Twitter before they started streaming, then they started streaming. So I started watching them stream. And yeah, that's a rabbit hole you end up going down. And they were like, you should try it. It's great fun. You should do it. And I held off for a few months because I was still doing my master's in the evenings and working a full-time job. And I didn't need a second full-time job or a third full-time job. But eventually, yeah, one of my friends, Tanya DePass, Cypher of Tier, who I think you might know some of her stuff.
So I've known her through watching your streams.
There you go. So she is the lady responsible, primarily responsible for me getting into streaming. And she was like, she was there on my first stream and she still pops in to this day, which is great.
Mm-hmm. So your friends got you into streaming. Did you have any worries or concerns about actually starting up?
Not so much. I'm a bearded white guy. So the amount of grief you get online for streaming is the tiniest amount by comparison to some folks. You'll always get the occasional troll and stuff. So when I started, I think I was more worried about streaming to an audience of 0 and being really boring than I was anything else. I had a couple of friends who were there to show up and they would take care of modding duties for me, but really we never had any trouble. I was way more worried about me as a streamer than I was about Twitch or the internet in general.
So it's more about how you could be perceived whilst online. Say, who would want to actually come and view me? I'm just an average guy, average Joe, watching, playing random games, as it were.
Hi, exactly.
Excellent. And so you clearly didn't have any problem. Do you have any problems with equipment when you started up?
Yeah, when I started out, because obviously I had planned to start streaming sort of before I actually did it. So I had a bit of a lead-in time. I started plotting in October 2015, but I didn't start streaming until March 2016.
Wow.
two weeks after handing in my master's, because I was like, I'm not starting streaming until I finished this one thing. But I had lots of time to plan. And I'd done some stuff before. I had a podcast that I did back in 2008. So I'd had a little bit of experience of recording things every week and setting up a microphone with the computer and that sort of stuff. So it wasn't entirely new. But of course, nearly 10 years had gone past. So I was, out of date with whatever was going on. I bought a new microphone and headset, super relatively cheap. They were, I think it was $39.99 for the microphone, including a free headset. The headset was rubbish, but the microphone was great. And I got that for 40 quid. And I had a webcam at the time. It was a little Microsoft Life cam, the kinds you'll find in every office everywhere.
Yeah.
And the audio was okay, but a little bit quiet. But I kind of thought that would be fine. I'd make it work. I looked for software. OBS was recommended to me. I worked out how OBS worked because I had time. Then when it actually got closer to actually doing it, I was like, okay, let's try this. I'll do a test. I'll do a little test recording as if I was streaming. And I couldn't get the audio quite where I wanted it. The volume was the big problem. And the webcam looked awful. It looked really, really bad. I was bright blue for no apparent reason. I wish I still had the photographs because it was terrible. So I looked around online and I got the Logitech C920.
Again, you went straight for the Logitech C920.
Yeah.
I think it's the go-to webcam for any streamer.
Still pretty much is. I mean, at the time it was about £45 or £49. I think I got it in the Christmas sales. But even now, they're still that expensive, and it's worse now with everyone working from home, with lots of folks working from home at the moment. Webcams are hard to find. But yeah, I still use it to this day. So I've been using it for 4 years. It still does exactly what I needed to do.
And with that, let's cue the music and see the changes. So, Stephen, we've already started talking about your old equipment. You actually provided it with a great photograph. So can you go through it, please? We've spoken about your microphone, but...
Yeah, the microphone is the Samsung Q2U has a USB and XLR port in the bottom of it, so you could use it either way. And I picked that specifically so that I had the choice. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go down the route of getting XLR, buying a mixer, et cetera, or if the USB would be fine. I tried the USB when I did my test stream, and it really wasn't up to it. I just couldn't get the volume level that I wanted, and basically you had to crank the gain so high that then the noise became just not good. So I went and bought a Behringer mixer, like 70 quid for the mixer, and an XLR cable, and I went in by XLR instead, which meant I was able to set a lot more stuff on the mixer, get the gain I needed going in, and it drastically improved the audio. And I still use that Behringer today. It's been running happily over there in the corner for like thousands of hours at this point, and it's doing great.
Pretty much bomb-proof on that front.
Pretty much.
Quite early on, I noticed you see you've got double screens here, a nice little Dell monitor, which I think I probably remember from my school days. But so, how did you realise you needed two screens so quickly?
When I did my test stream, I realised very quickly that I couldn't read the chat, because if you full screen a game, it's very hard to then keep track of the chat. I tried on my phone, I tried using the little tablet that I had, but it didn't work with the Twitch app. So I realized a second screen would be great. And there's a place nearby that refurbishes old office monitors for charity. And I picked up that little Dell monitor in the corner there for like 30 quid, I think. Yeah, still works. And I still use it today. I now have it as my third screen. So it works great.
Still going on strong, fantastic. In the picture, did you also have music overlay as when you started up? I know music is a bit of a hot topic with the recent
at the moment, yeah.
At the moment. So using your is it a tablet there you got there, like
I've got a little
Galaxy
Kindle
tablet?
little Kindle Fire,
Right.
and it's plugged into the mixer, just an audio jack into the mixer, which meant that I could play audio from my Kindle Fire into the mixer and then into the computer and into my recording software. I got OBS, actually pre-OBS Studio, so it would have been old OBS, but I upgraded to Studio pretty quickly. What
was your next thinking? You've got this nice setup. It's clearly working for you. What was your next stage?
I think initially the first step was getting online and getting streaming. But then very quickly I kind of realized that my stream as it currently was needed a little bit extra. I didn't have any graphics really. It was just my face in the bottom right hand corner and some chat on the screen. I didn't have a green screen at the time either. So I always had a background behind me, which takes up a bunch of screen space and can get in the way of other stuff. So about 2 weeks after my first stream, I bought a green screen. It was the first big stream purchase I made was buying a green screen.
And this green screen is definitely Heath Robinson. So how did you actually get it to stay up? Because I noticed that on the pictures, which is now being shown, you've got bulldog clips clipping it all over the place.
And that's a clothes horse. That's a clothes horse that I modified into a green screen frame.
Fantastic.
I kid you not. I went down to B&Q and bought 3 massive long wooden dowels. It's one of those, those kind of like little clothes horses that you get from Argos. and they're like 6 feet long and that's it. Or like they're 4 feet long. So I basically had to get these big, massive wooden dowels so that I could make the green screen as wide as it needed to be. And the thing is massive. And as you can see, I'm in a bedroom here. We live in a 2-bedroom place, and this is the spare bedroom. So every time the in-laws came to visit or a friend came to stay, I had to pick up this massive green screen yoke and carry it through the apartment and sort of stand it up sideways in the bedroom for 3 days because you couldn't take it apart. If you took it all down, the green screen would get crinkled. It would need ironing. It was a major pain in the butt. But it worked great as long as I didn't touch it, as long as I just left it there to do its thing. And I actually was able to, on my stream, I took a photograph of the background behind me and put it behind me, even though I had the green screen turned on. And I was streaming along, and my viewers didn't know that the room behind me was no longer there. And I was able to basically reveal my green screen. I was like, this is my new setup. I'm thinking I don't like this background. I think I'll just get rid of it. And I pushed a button and the room disappeared because, of course, I was already chroma keyed. And that was fun. That was a good time. Definitely worth it, though. It was like a 10 quid green screen and maybe 20 quids worth of wooden dowels. And it absolutely worth its weight. It was great.
Fantastic. And building on your sound, you've got the next couple of photographs we're going to put up you've started to use the sound dampening to go around your monitors and etc.
Yeah, when I ran with my existing mic, my old mic. I ran my old mic for like 2 years. And eventually I was like, I think I'm going to upgrade my microphone, which is that's a problem being a streamer. There's always shiny new tech to buy.
Yes, there is, especially when everything's now geared towards streaming. Everything has it's almost like RGBs on everything. Because like nowadays you got, this is a streaming product.
Yep, stick some RGB on it, stick streaming on it, and then I'll definitely be tempted. I'll absolutely be tempted. But yeah, having done podcasting in the past, I was like, I know I can get a better sounding microphone than this. I know I can make it work better. So in January 2019, I bought a Rode Procaster XLR mic.
Yeah.
I had to get a new boom arm because the microphone was so heavy that my 10 quid Amazon boom arm kept dropping it. So I had to get a new boom arm. And then since I was going to do that anyway, I decided to finally bite the bullet and try some sort of sound dampening. This room is super echoey, but it's a rental place, so I can't do too much to it.
And with that, let's move on to the actual stream itself. Okay, so that video was put together by Stephen, so thank you very much. And now you can see his new sexy green screen. And straight away revealed. So it's clear from the early parts that your stream the way your stream looked has developed over time, but there's definitely some key points of being very important to your stream. And also the artwork you've used. You've straight away started from using art and then moved on to a more better art, as it were, or different. So what made you go down the art route first rather than necessarily just get up and going?
Well, I think if you look at my very, very, very first stream, it was just a black screen with starting, and a picture I had as a Twitter avatar. And that was the only asset I had. And I was kind of, after the first stream, it was very apparent I needed more stuff, because I didn't have a be right back screen. I didn't have a thank you screen. I didn't have a starting soon screen. Despite all my best plans, I was not prepared. But I was like, okay, I need some artwork for those screens. So one of my friends on Twitter, I asked them if they could do some artwork for me, and I commissioned them to do a couple of different drawings. The one of me holding a giant cup of tea, so that I could have a screen. When I went to a Be Right Back screen, there was something on it other than the words Be Right Back. I started playing The Long Dark, so the snow is a big part of the early screen. I learned how to make snow in Blender so that I could put it over as an overlay. But then after sorry.
And so almost the main game you're playing, The Lone Dark, which was one where I started watching you actually do the streaming, was almost a big part of how your art developed in that sense.
Yeah, the snow matched with The Long Dark, and that kind of there was a bunch of sort of, I had a font that was kind of like partially obscured and degraded, and it was supposed to be a survival game stream. I was going to probably stick to survival games, which of course changed very quickly. Originally I thought about doing a YouTube series rather than streaming, which is where the Long Dark part comes from, but I brought that in as my very first game. But after a couple of years, I got lazy and grew a beard. So suddenly, all my artwork was out of date, and it was a perfect excuse to commission a different friend of mine, Rabbitkun, to commission her. She was a streamer who does art streams, and she literally draws on stream, and it's amazing. And she did commissions, and I was like, I've got a beard now. I need new artwork. Can you make new artwork for me? And I had a better idea of kind of what I wanted, but the same things keep coming up. There's still a giant teacup. There's always a giant teacup because I run on tea. So it's always been a thing.
As he takes a sip there. So, and also, does the tea help break up your stream so you can have regular breaks deliberately? Because I know some people did, you can see them stream for 4 to 6 hours and they burn out in some respects.
Yeah, when I started, I planned on streaming for 3 hours, and there was no way I was going to be able to stream for 3 hours straight, I didn't think. And certainly if you're drinking a lot of beverages, you want the occasional break. So about 90 minutes into my stream, still the same now, I will call a tea break, which, gives everyone a chance to go to the loo. Because your viewers are there too, and they might be watching you, and they might need to go to the loo as well. So everyone gets a chance. I go up, I put the kettle on. I can, just take a few minutes out of the room because it gets quite warm in here as well. So I can take a few minutes out in the fresh air, get a cup of tea, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then come back fresh. And it only takes 3 or 4 minutes, but it's a great thing to have a break. I don't know how anyone streams for 4 and 5 hours without a break. Yeah, I can't do it.
Fantastic. And of course, the other thing that you've developed is the use of your hats.
Yes.
It's definitely one of your hallmarks of your stream, where you can end up with, how many hats was the highest you've ever had?
69 hats specifically. Yes.
Of course, you weren't. Did your viewers not allow you to go over 69?
Yeah, we didn't go over 69. We decided 69 was where we had to stop. So it was 69 hats, a pen, something else. Oh yes, and my small badger, and a couple of other things, because we didn't want the number of hats to go over 69. I have a hat counter that I use on my stream, which shows how many hats I'm currently wearing or how many hats we've currently redeemed. It's funny because we never planned the hats to be a thing. That's a total accident, and now it's like super important to my stream.
So how does your actual stream look? Because we obviously can see your green screen there. So let's flip to your main screen.
I will just I will turn on the filters. So I've recently changed my setup. So I'm now using scenes as sources, which is a thing where instead of having everything layered on top of itself inside a scene in OBS, you can group stuff together separately as their own scene and then bring them in to the rest. It's supposed to make it neater, but I'm going to mess it up eventually. I'm always adding new things. So I'm just turning on my chroma key and my cropping, as you can see, which takes out the background. And then if we go to my starting screen, so this is my starting screen now. I'm not actually playing any music at the moment, but I do have a little spectralizer thing that does it reacts to the music, to the audio coming in through the desktop. So if I'm listening to you, there's your voice is actually making a jump. But normally that's only playing whatever I'm playing music through. And this is, my starting soon screen. I have a button on my Stream Deck, which we might look at later, which allows me to set a timer running. And that gives me 3 or 4 minutes once my stream starts to make sure everything is working. It also gives people time to get in because no one's missed anything yet, because it'll be 4 or 5 minutes before I actually get going. And it gives everyone a chance to get in, get settled, get a cup of tea, which lots of my viewers do at the same time. Also chat to everyone, say hi to people in the chat. And it gives me a chance to fix any last minute technical issues, as occasionally does happen. I've got a lobby screen, which is like this. Which at the top of the screen has who my latest subscriber is, who the most recent donor is, who's resubbed recently, who my latest followers are and cheerers. I didn't have any of this when I started, but pretty quickly realized that there were sort of screens that you just need to have. I mean, you don't even necessarily need a starting soon screen, but if you don't have a screen for people to land on when you start your stream, there has to be something. And I also have the chat here. So I've actually, it's an ad for Urban Bohemian. One of my fellow stream team members. And it shows whatever is in the chat. So whenever anyone says anything in the chat, it will show up on my screen. So like that. And that means that...
No, sorry. I was saying, so you've got, what would you be your top 4 or 5 scenes that you need to have as a streamer? Obviously, starting screen, or at least a landing page, a just chatting screen, which you've got there. Obviously, an in-game one.
This is my game screen. Yep. I have, because I take a tea break, I have a be right back screen, which it transitions to with that little animation that I made.
Oh, lovely.
That's new as well, because I didn't have those originally, the little teacup animation. That actually plays a little piece of music, but I don't monitor that, so it doesn't feed back into the audio. So it's just only the people who are watching the stream hear the little music that plays whenever it does that. A friend of mine had the Transformers logo as it changes from one to the other from the old 1980s cartoon. And he used that as his transition screen. And I was like, I want to make one. And I want it to be kind of like the old Batman, the Adam West Batman thing. Exactly. Yeah. Sadly, that sound effect is copyrighted as heck. So you can't use it. I know. I looked for alternatives that were similar, and it was like,
It's not quite the same, is it?
It's not quite the same.
So bring yourself back to the chatting screen. So how do you get your hats to stick on? And did you have to, did it reduce the amount of headphone set you had to could purchase?
Oddly enough, when I bought, because this is not the headset I started with, when I bought this headset, one of the primary concerns was, how much Velcro can I fit on that headset? And can I fit Velcro on it without damaging the headset? Because what if it breaks 6 months in and I need to return it? I don't want to be sending it back covered in Velcro. But the original hats were much, much larger than this. When I celebrated my 1-year streamiversary, I bought a pack of party hats, just ordinary party hats. And I put one on because it was a birthday party. It was the birthday party of the stream. But people kind of liked that I had the hat. And then I tried to get one of those bit cups to work. So when people cheer on Twitch, they can donate money essentially with cheers. And there's lots of people who have these little 3D animations of like the bits falling into a cup. My computer was so old, it did not like that, and it would lag out the stream. So instead of running that little bit cup, what I did was I'd put a hat on. And then I'd put another hat on, and then I'd put another hat on. But of course, they're full-size hats, and I'm a normal single-sized human, so I couldn't fit so many on. So we miniaturized them, and we made little tiny versions like this. Also, I changed the color so that it doesn't have green on it, because originally the original hat had green, so you could see through them. And it's just attached with Velcro. It's just a piece of Velcro on the bottom, and it sticks on like so.
Fantastic. And how the hats developed, because if you had to change the colors and support different areas?
Yeah, as time went on, because obviously there was a certain number of hats I could fit even onto my head. I think it was 5 or 6. So what I did was I made a second set of hats, which are sort of the tier 2 hats, and they go on top of the original hat. And you end up with, twice as many hats could be worn. But of course, over time, and the hat thing became more and more popular, 6, 10, 12 hats was not enough hats. And eventually you'd end up with 20 hats, because I'd put a hat on if someone followed, or I'd put a hat on if someone, cheered, or I'd put a hat on if someone hosted, or if someone came in and they were having a bad day, I would put a hat on to cheer them up. And the end result was lots of hats. And most recently this year for Pride, we made a whole bunch of Pride hats. So Rainbow Pride hats. I've got top hat versions of a whole pile of Pride flags, because Pride is an important thing for my stream and my stream team. So it's one of the things we do. And I wasn't raising money for Pride this year. Instead, I was donating my Twitch money. So I was donating my Twitch earnings instead. But we still wanted to have some sort of Pride on the stream. And that's what the tiny hats were for.
And what charity did you support during these Pride events?
The Pride events, mostly I donated to other streamers who were raising money for Pride. So there was a lot of people raising money for the Trevor Project, and a few sort of other LGBTQ charities in their own cities, particularly. But I was basically just donating to other streamers rather than specifically raising money for a charity myself. Last year for Pride, I raised money for LGBT Youth Scotland, which is really nice. It's kind of a local one to myself. But we've raised money for a whole pile of different groups. Whereas this year we had just done raising money for the Bail Project, which is a non-profit organization that basically pays the bail for people, because the cash bail system is really dodgy. You can end up needing to pay bail that you can't afford, which means you go to prison or jail
because you can't
pay a certain amount of money. Even if actually you end up being let go, you end up going to jail. And you could lose your job, you could lose your car, all these things could happen. So we were raising, because obviously with all the protests going on, particularly in America, that was a very important one. And we raised over $1,000 for that. But we'd just done that when Pride came along. And I was like, we've just done a big charity thing. And I try not to do too many in a row, because money is tight for everybody. And if people keep coming to my stream and every time they come, I'm asking them to donate money to charity, I always feel kind of a bit weird about that. And
so you say you're part of a group. What group are you part of?
I am part of the stream team known as Team Cypher, which is Cypher of Tier, Tanya, the woman who got me into streaming in the first place and whose fault this is. But yeah, there's a few of us in the stream team, but like two of my very good friends, Tanya and Brian Gray, Urban Bohemian, are both members of Team Cypher. And like, I wouldn't still be doing this if it wasn't for them. So, I'm part of the stream team.
Description below, folks. Links in description below, folks, for all those to follow those, and all that's up there. And we'll put them somewhere, there. So don't you worry.
We'll put them somewhere.
We'll put them somewhere.
Well, Brian's right there.
And Brian is right there. Yeah, so feel free to follow him, and blame me for if you do find him from that.
I'll just keep promoting people in my stream. Follow Tanya; she's here and here.
And I think that does lead quite beautifully onto your Stream Decks. You recently bought the Stream Deck XL because you started to run out of buttons.
Yes.
It's probably the first person I've ever heard of run out of buttons on a Stream Deck.
Yeah, technically I didn't. Yeah, technically, because you can, with the Stream Deck, you can have, I'll bring up my Stream Deck window. Let me bring up my Stream Deck window on screen so that you can see it. You should be able to see that now.
Yeah, brilliant.
Technically, with the Stream Deck, you can have folders with buttons inside them. So, for example, if I want to promote a certain P-Slack, I can push one of these buttons and it will bring up a pop with your name on it, and it will put these things in the chat over here. And that's within a subfolder. This is my main screen that I use during the stream. With my old Stream Deck, I was able to, essentially you had like this many buttons. You have like 15 buttons, whereas this one obviously it's like, 32 buttons. And what I would have to do is I would have to move between submenus depending on what I was doing. There's a picture there of my old Stream Deck versus my new Stream Deck that I've given you, which shows my sort of old setup and my new setup.
Yeah.
And this just means that I don't have to leave this screen during a stream. and it's
So just
wonderful.
So it just makes it move slicker and move faster, as
Yeah,
it were, through much
yeah.
slicker operation
So
rather than running out of buttons.
I have buttons which allow me to change from scene to scene to scene. That's this row here. And that lets me go to whatever I want. I can change scenes. I can go wherever I need to go. I have a button that turns on and off my hat counter, which shows up on my screen. It shows people where my hats are. So if I went here, for example, and I press this button, the hat counter will appear on the side of the screen, which tells people how many hats there are. If raiders come in, I have a button which pops up a raider video above my head and explains what's going on and who I am. I have sound effect files, so I can play a sound effect if I need to. If someone tells a really bad pun in chat, I have a little drum roll, but that I play. If I mess up terribly, we've recently added a fail button. And when I press the fail button, it zooms in on me in black and white and plays fail sound effects. And that's good fun. People like that. If it's somebody's birthday, I can push a button and it brings up a happy birthday on the screen. So if it's somebody's birthday, we celebrate birthdays a lot on my stream. Like we'll get cake and everything. It's another thing.
Fantastic. Nothing wrong with getting cake. So with the Pride hats, obviously green is quite a keen color. How did you or don't you get around that issue with your green screen?
Yeah, for some of them, it depends on the green. Like this hat here, which I made for Brian, it's the Philly Pride hat. There's a tiny line where the green and yellow meet, but mostly the green is intact. Whereas for other hats, it's completely invisible. We just made it a feature. This is an invisible hat, and people can request an invisible hat when they get a hat. They can actually just ask for an invisible hat. And if I had a hat on my head, it would just, let me find it now. It would just disappear. It's a feature, not a bug. Makes perfect sense. They even come in sparkly. Yeah, we just made it a thing. Some hats, some of my Pride hats, the green gets removed. So I need to try and find better greens that work on stream. But, it is what it is. And the benefits of having the green screen, particularly for like the gaming stuff, because if I keep my webcam, 40% of the screen is wasted with showing my bedroom, which is just, we don't need that.
I have the same issue where I am, but I've changed the angle instead to get around that. So it's a feature at the back because I pick up a book from one of my points, but that's a separate issue. Thanks, Stephen, for going through your different aspects of your stream deck, and we're back to your bedroom, so we must be up the washing up section of the video.
Welcome back to my bedroom.
Welcome back. So we've gone through really how your stream has developed, where you got started, and what it is like now. So where do you think your stream's going to go in the future?
Oh gosh, at the moment I've been experiencing a little bit of growth this year. So my viewer numbers have been going up a bit, which is nice. I mean, I'd happily stream to like 12 people. So I'm not one of those people who's chasing numbers. But at the moment, I've had bigger crowds of people in, which is really nice. I've met some nice new friends. I think I'll probably try and keep that going, see if I can grow the channel a little bit more. I recently did a couple of sort of playing games with somebody else things as well, which I think that's something I'd like to do more of. I very recently played the new Fall Guys game with my friend Brian, and we had both of our webcams on screen at the same time, and that was a lot of fun because everyone could watch one stream but see kind of two streamers, and that was great. So I want to try and do more of that. And I mean, maybe one day if I get the opportunity, I'll apply for a Twitch partner. It wasn't something I considered when I started. I kind of went into this assuming that would never be a thing. But maybe if my viewers keep coming and the stream keeps growing, maybe eventually I'll be able to sort of ask politely if I can be Twitch partner. But at the moment, I'll probably just kind of keep doing what I'm doing, keep building a sort of safe and welcoming community.
Do you think you'll ever turn pro with this and take over your main job, or is it definitely still a hobby plus a bit at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a hobby. I remember explaining to a friend of mine, because when I made Twitch affiliate, they were like, "Oh, so this is like your job now?" And I'm kind of like, "Well, it's kind of like Twitch affiliate is kind of like being in a part-time job, like having a second part-time job. Because I stream 4 times a week now, which is a lot of hours when you think about the hours you actually are on camera, but also all the work that goes in off camera. I probably spend over 25 hours a week on streaming related stuff, which is a lot. And it's 1/7 of my week minimum. I don't think it would ever become my full-time job. I like what I do in my normal day job for a living, and I'm reasonably good at it. So that's probably the safer bet in terms of like paying the mortgage. But I would definitely take this further. If I became partner, I mean, I'd probably try and keep my day job unless this thing completely, exploded and became way, way bigger than I think it's likely to become.
Fantastic. And so moving on, because obviously we might have people here watching that are wanting to get on the bandwagon or get into streaming. What would be your like top tips, and where would you say put your money in first? Because it's still quite costly. Even buying a webcam can be 30, 40, 50 quid, and the market is getting to the point of saturation where everything is the best.
Yeah.
So where would you think would be the place to start?
I guess it kind of depends. I can sort of answer a couple of different ones. It kind of depends on where you are right now. So if you have a computer that can stream, be it a console or a PC, and you're able to stream to Twitch, the most important thing you need to have isn't a webcam. The most important thing you need to have is a schedule. It's my number one tip. It's good advice that I was given by another streamer way back when I started. And she said, have a schedule and stick to it. That is the number one piece of advice that she'd been given.
So in terms of equipment, where do you think you got your biggest bang for your buck in terms of that elevated your stream up to the next stage, next level?
The advice that I had was audio, lighting, camera. Now, I would stick schedule in front of that, but audio is the most important thing. If your audience can't hear you at all or the sound is really bad, see if you can do something to fix it, even if it's just a case of picking up a 30 quid USB mic. Because if a headset mic isn't doing it for you, if you can fix your audio, like 99 times out of 100, the video quality can be rubbish. And as long as you're nice and clear and people can hear you, they can interact with you, they can work. So way more important than anything else is getting at least a basic level of audio quality. Yourself with YouTube videos. If you log onto a YouTube video and the audio is bad, you're way more likely to find another video.
Yeah, because you can turn a YouTube video into a podcast quite easily.
Exactly.
Straight away. No, you don't have to watch it.
Exactly.
As such. But please watch this one all the way to the end.
All the way to the end, yeah. Please watch this. Keep going. We're going to save the juicy bits for the end. But yeah, if you're a beginner streamer and you're looking at something to spend money on, some sort of basic USB mic is probably your best bet. If you want to go for a camera, the Logitech C920, just get a Logitech C920. If you have £100 to spend, you can buy a USB mic and a Logitech C920, and you're good to go. Lighting is really, really important, but you don't need to buy expensive lights. Even if you want the shiny Elgatos, hashtag no sponsor. Even if you want the shiny lights, you don't need them. I still use the lights I started with, which are a couple of desk lamps with LED daylight bulbs. And that's all I use, and they work great.
Agreed. I do think you can buy some very nice LED panels and etc. for half the price of any sort of Elgato hashtag streaming.
Also, but on a budget, like you can. I mean, get a lamp. I mean, I say I've got a 20-watt desk lamp. I think it cost £12, and I put a £10 daylight LED bulb into it, and I have 2,000 lumens of white light bouncing off a wall, which is perfect for most of it. And then I've got a really small one over here, which is just a kind of a fill light for kind of taking care of the green screen and also sort of giving a bit of edge lighting. And then I've got a daylight bulb in my ceiling. But like, daylight bulbs are your friend, and they're much cheaper than they've ever been. Even if you didn't have any desk lamps, just stick a daylight bulb in your ceiling, and that will make everything much, 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 much better.
Cool. All right, then. I thank you very much, team, for your time. Obviously, we'll put all the links of your different places up on the screen and check them all out, as well as these fellow friends in streaming. They also will be down there. So thank you very much for your time. and I will have to bid you goodbye, unfortunately. So,
Thank
any
you very
last
much for
final
having a
words?
chat. Stream. It's fun. Also, follow Peter because he streams too. And why are you here if you're not following Peter when he streams?
Okay, thank you very much.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks
Catch
for
you on
having
the next one.
Okay,
Like
bye,
and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.